I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. Catholic education for a new generation. We'll take you to a Catholic academy in Howard Beach for our School of the Week.
I think that it was important for the school to change and update their technology because that's what's going on in the world today.
Plus, the future of Catholic education in the Brooklyn Diocese depends on you. We'll show you how you can help.
The Angel program is a program that allows individuals to sponsor individual students on a one-to-one basis.
And as the war ends, U.S. troops come home from Iraq to find some puppy love waiting for them.
The stuff that we've gone through, seeing an animal that relaxes us, it helps.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. For students across Brooklyn and Queens, it's almost here, that all-important Christmas break. And, while the children may be looking forward to the gifts that will be wrapped up and waiting for them underneath the Christmas tree, they know the holiday is about much more than that. Take as just one example the students at Ave Maria Academy in Howard Beach. Now, the school, which was originally known as Our Lady of Grace, reopened in 2009 under the new Academy model, allowing it to impart the Catholic faith and also update its education approach for a new generation of young people. Ave Maria Academy is this week's School of the Week.
This school's been here since in the 1920s. Throughout the years, it's been very successful and it's been thriving. However, several years ago, when the public schools opened to junior high students, there was an exodus of some students there. When we became an academy, I think when our enrollment was starting to drop a little, I began to work really closely with the board of directors because their mission, as well as mine, is that we have a strong Catholic identity. And there was no question about that. But what we need to do is bring Ave Maria Catholic Academy into the 21st century.
I did go to grammar school here. At the time it was called Our Lady of Grace, and it was unbelievable. I loved the plays, the songs. I loved the feeling of everyone coming together, and it was always so warm and comfortable. I was never afraid or uncomfortable or nervous to come to school. When I came back here, I still felt that warm feeling.
There was always a warmth about it. You walked into this place, you felt accepted. Everybody's there as like a cheerleader for you. And that going into the academy phase was something I definitely wanted to keep going. But the school had to engage in a new vision. We needed to step out of the box. Today, teachers are being trained in a totally different way.
I constantly, and the other teachers constantly, have to be looking into what's coming next. Not just saying, okay, I've learned that and I've mastered that and I'm going to teach the students how to use it. We constantly have to stay on our feet and learn what's out there.
Our generation were basically chalk and talk. They'd write on the board, then they'd talk, kids would write notes, and that would be it. And there was no interaction, there was no technology. Our kids today are different. They learn differently. They're influenced by television, they're influenced by a lot of things that we may have been influenced, but not to the degree that they're influenced today. So we have to change as well.
Everyone shares the same vision. The teachers, the faculty, myself, the board of directors.
I think that it was important for the school to change and update their technology because that's what's going on in the world today. We don't want to teach them something that they're not going to use. That's okay. It's important to really prepare them now with those skills. And technology is a skill. I don't know one company that's successful that doesn't use technology.
What we need to do is bring Ave Maria Catholic Academy into the 21st century through a new science lab where they actually can do experiments and not just read about them, through a new media center, by giving our students outlets to be creative and to learn and to express themselves. And that's what the board of directors has done. It's made each classroom interactive where students are not just sitting there listening to what the teacher's saying, they're up there, they're pressing on the board.
When they research, it's something that they can do now here in class instead of going home and doing it.
Even our report cards and every test grade will now be put online.
There's other ways of student achievement too. My integrated Algebra 1 class, my 7th and 8th graders are learning the 9th grade high school curriculum. It's challenging them, and they're living up to that challenge. Our students are used to working together in groups, so that adds another dimension. They're learning how to collaborate. Parents send their children to Ave Maria Catholic Academy so that they can be extraordinary human beings.
We want to go out and we want to do better, and we want to be not only better for ourselves, but to to help other people.
One thing the school never lacked is heart and warmth. You get that the second you walk down the halls of the building. Now we're bringing another dimension.
Change is inevitable, and you have to go with it for the children to really be prepared.
You can have the best teachers in the world, you can have the best facilities in the world, you can have the best technology in the world, but I think what Catholic education does, and our faith does, is kind of gels them together. It's their foundation, it keeps them together.
And I feel the students, when they go to high school, they're prepared academically, spiritually, and also socially, and they do have that foundation of a Catholic school.
And be sure and visit our website, currentsny.net, to see reports on our past Schools of the Week. And stay with us, there's more Currents ahead. The state's Catholic Conference responds to a renewed push for a controversial bill in Albany. That story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, it was probably on the wish list of many soldiers' families, the end of the U.S. military operations in Iraq. First, though, let's have a look at the day's headlines. New York State Assemblywoman Margaret Markey is renewing efforts to change the statute of limitations on sex abuse cases. Markey, who represents parts of Queens, first introduced the bill 7 years ago. She says the renewed effort is now part of a result of child sex abuse allegations at both Penn State and Syracuse University. Now, perhaps the most controversial part of the bill is that it would do away with the statute of limitations on civil sex abuse cases for 1 year. New York State Catholic Conference spokesman Dennis Paust says the 1 year window is inherently unfair because it would not apply to public institutions. Paust calls the bill contrary to justice because he says it would force institutions to defend claims going back 50, 60, or 70 years. He says the Catholic Conference does support a provision that would raise the statute of limitations by 5 years, giving alleged victims up to their 28th birthday to come forward. Well, turning now to Washington, where the Senate has blocked President Obama's nominee to be ambassador of El Salvador because of her advocacy for same-sex rights in that country. Now, a Catholic news agency is reporting the Senate blocked the nomination of Marie Carmen Aponte because of an article that she wrote for an El Salvador newspaper in which she said, quote, "Each one of us has a responsibility to work toward the recognition of same-sex rights." Now, according to the article, multiple Salvadoran groups wrote to Congress calling for Aponte's removal because of her disregard for the country's culture and morality, they say. Same-sex unions are not legal in El Salvador, and the country is more than 50% Catholic. Aponte has been serving as the U.S. ambassador there, but her tenure will expire at the end of the year. Well, the Archdiocese of Philadelphia has announced a new initiative aimed at determining the vitality of its parishes. The Archdiocese says demographic shifts, a decline in mass attendance, a high density of parishes in small areas, and few clergy are among the factors impacting the quality of parish life. The Archdiocese says the goal of the initiative is to determine if parishes have the resources to remain sustainable and vibrant. The announcement came less than a week after a pastoral letter from Philadelphia Archbishop Charles Chaput stating that the Archdiocese will face very serious financial and organizational issues in 2012. Well, from Minnesota, the state's Campaign Finance Board has dismissed a complaint against the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis over a marriage DVD it mailed out ahead of the 2010 election. The video included a message from Archbishop John Nienstedt in which he discussed the Catholic teaching on marriage and called for Minnesotans to be allowed to vote on same-sex marriage. The video also included a short documentary titled One Man, One Woman, Marriage and the Common Good. It was produced by the Knights of Columbus. It was sent out to 400,000 Catholics in Minnesota. Now, the complaint alleged that the Archdiocese failed to register as a lobbyist or other politically active group before the DVD hit parishioners' mailboxes. The state rejected that complaint, saying that the issue of marriage was not on the ballot at the time the video was mailed and was not an issue before the state legislature. Well, a new survey shows that a majority of Catholics believe there is a spiritual obligation to address certain social issues. The survey from the Center for International and Security Studies at Maryland shows 51% of Catholics feel that we are spiritually obliged to look for ways to prevent abortions. Now, meanwhile, an overwhelming 90% of Catholics endorse an agreement to reduce pollution of the environment. The study looked at the views of people who identified as, quote, believers. The numbers were also broken down to show trends among Catholics and evangelicals. Well, turning now to the Vatican, where Pope Benedict met with one of the UK's leading spiritual forces. Rome Reports has details.
The United Kingdom's Chief Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks met with the Pope. Sacks is the spiritual leader of the United Synagogue, the largest Jewish community in the UK. During his meeting with Benedict XVI, he says the two exchanged views on the loss of spiritual values, the current economic crisis, and the relationship between politics and religion.
I found a kindred spirit. We spoke the same language, have the same worries, and are committed to the same principles. So I found it a very helpful meeting, and I hope that we can go together, Jews and Christians, to strengthen the moral fabric of Europe.
After his meeting with the Pope, Lord Sacks visited the Pontifical Gregorian University, where he was joined by Cardinal Kurt Koch, the president of the Pontifical Commission for Relations with Judaism. The chief rabbi spoke on the importance of business ethics based on Jewish and Christian principles. He paraphrased this with a famous Christian text, "What will it profit Europe if it gains the world yet loses its soul?"
Meanwhile, a girl who was kidnapped by Colombian rebels says she was set free thanks to the prayers of Pope Benedict. 10-year-old Nora Valentine Munoz was in Rome this week to participate in a mass for Our Lady of Guadalupe. She told Catholic News Agency that seeing the Pope means a lot to her. Munoz says she was very happy to represent Colombia at Mass at St. Peter's Basilica. 3 other Colombian kidnapped victims also attended that Mass. Well, church officials in Mexico say they are thrilled Pope Benedict will be visiting their country next year. Mexico City Archbishop Cardinal Norberto Rivera told Catholic News Agency that bishops are happy that Benedict will be traveling to the city of León near the site of the 65-foot Christ the King of Peace statue. Rivera says that Catholics will welcome the Pope with great affection. Well, meanwhile, a relic of St. John Bosco was stolen from a church in the southern Italian resort town of Alassio this week. The Italian news agency ANSA says the relic, which is a small bone from St. John Bosco's hand, had been venerated at the church for almost 80 years when Bosco was declared a saint. Since St. John Bosco was known for his work to educate and improve the lives of street children, juvenile delinquents, and other disadvantaged youths. And if you have yet to put up those Christmas lights and you plan on doing so, here's a little bit of advice for you. Be careful. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the number of injuries involving Christmas decorations has risen to 13,000, that is, up from 10,000 in 2007. Officials say you should make sure that the lights are in good working order, and if you plan on using them outside, make sure they're meant for outdoor use. It's always a good thing to do. Stay with us, there's more currents ahead. Coming up, as Christmas approaches, why not think about giving the gift of education this year?
The sponsors cover about half, just shy of half of the tuition, while the family is responsible for the rest.
Welcome back. Well, if you ask most children what they want for Christmas, they'll probably name one of the hot new toys out there, I would imagine, available just in time for Santa to, I don't know, go to the largest national retailer that's close to the North Pole maybe, and place it under their tree in a little more than a week. There's also something that you can give that goes much further than that, though. In fact, it's something that lasts a lifetime. It's an education. And we continue our series on alternative gifts for the Christmas season with a look at just such an opportunity right here in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Back in October, the Diocese Futures in Education Foundation held its annual Angels Dinner. That's a chance for children to meet the people that help pay tuition at Catholic schools for children whose families who cannot afford it. I had a chance to hear more about it when I sat down recently with the Diocese Vicar for Development, Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello, and the chair of the Angels program, Clarissa Elgerton. Monsignor Jamie and Clarissa as well. Thanks both for being here. Really appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Well, I know, Monsignor, that we just recently here had the Futures in Education dinner, and I understand it was a big success.
It was a very big success. In fact, it was one of our most successful. For the first time in the history of fundraising in the diocese, we raised over $1 million from an event. And the dinner raised $1.3 million, to be exact, netted. So that, you know, that's great. And all that money went to scholarships for our schools. So it really was a great evening. We had Maria Bartiromo as our honoree, and Rosanna Scotto, once again, a great friend of Futures. She was the MC. And the children from Maria's school, St. Bernadette, where she went to school, performed. So it was a great night. We had, you know, over 700 people at the Waldorf. So it was a great night, and we are very happy and pleased in this environment, you know, to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, people are responding because they see the need. We had one of the recipients of the scholarship program that we have spoke, and you know, it was great. And we showed a little video about Futures, what we do and who we help, and he was in it, and he gave a little live testimony, and it was wonderful.
That's great.
And with that, we were also able to raise over $100,000 for New Angels.
That's wonderful.
Yes,
and for our viewers at home that might not be aware, tell us a little bit about what the Angels program is.
Okay, the Angel program, I think Clarissa, who's our chair, and will explain it, but it's another scholarship program that helps students.
Cool. Well, Clarissa, what is the Angels program? And I guess the layman's explanation of what the Angels program is.
Basically, the Angel program is a program that allows individuals to sponsor individual students on a one-to-one basis. And the sponsors cover about half, just shy of half of the tuition, while the family is responsible for the rest. And I think that's what makes one of the more unique parts of the Angel program, that one-to-one relationship, and also having the parents be responsible. It isn't just a handout.
Yeah.
In order for them to come up with the remainder of this tuition, which right now in the diocese, Monsignor, is about
$3,000, $3,500
$3,500, right. And the Angel portion takes care of $1,500. So the remainder is the responsibility of the family. But when you consider that the families in our program, the average income for a family of 4 is $26,000, that's a huge nut. But that's just testimony to how important it is to them to get a Catholic education.
Yeah, exactly.
And the value of it.
Can be a big chunk of what they bring in goes right back out to that to help you know, pay the tuition, at least that half that they're then responsible for as part of the Angels program. Well, very good. Well, how do people go about getting involved in this program if they want to?
The Angel program is part of Futures in Education, and there is a website, Futures in Education at diobrook.org.
Yes, yes.
Is that right? And so you could absolutely go onto the website. And we have actually an interesting program that we started last year that we're going to continue this year because it was just so popular last year. And that is to give an Angel sponsorship as a Christmas gift to someone. Oh, nice. So if someone wanted to do that, they could sign up either by calling Futures in Education or on the website. And then we would send them a really lovely card, explain who the student is, and remember it's a specific student, so they'll receive report cards and notes from that person, and then they'd also get an angel ornament for the tree. So it's actually a small gift as well.
That's really
cool. And
cool.
Once a year we have a little get-together so that we have a celebration and they're able to meet their angels. And we have over 250 angels helping over 500 students. And you know, in our diocese we have over 30,000 children in our schools. 12,000 of them qualify for a scholarship, and we're only able to help about 8,000 or 9,000, so we're still short. We give out almost $8 million a year in scholarships. Yeah. So as you can see, you know, we need to do more. The need is out there, and you know, Christmas is coming. It's a great time to be an angel. So you can just go on the website, and it's futuresineducation.org, and you know, be an angel.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you know, the need is out there. But as you say, like you'd kind of be surprised at you know how much people are actually giving now that the need is so great. You would think, oh, well, more people are in need, so less people are going to give. But it hasn't really worked out that way this time around.
I have to say that it's been, you know, in all of our fundraising efforts, we've been doing, thank God, with the generosity of people, we've been doing the same, if not better, than previous years.
Right, wonderful.
Well, I think that's testimony also to our programs. I think you know, many people do have fewer charitable dollars, and they're being more selective in the programs they choose. And I mean, I'd certainly like to think that maybe it's because they're really getting a lot of bang for their buck in our
Absolutely.
program.
Well, wonderful. We'll throw everybody, of course, over to the website as well, futuresineducation.org.
Right.
And they can sign up there, or they can find out more information there and see the calendar of the events that are coming up and all this wonderful information about Futures in Education.
And they could ask their principals in their schools as well.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, Monsignor Jamie and Clarissa, thank you both so much for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt, for having us.
Thanks. Stay with us. There's more Currents ahead. When we return, it's a hero's welcome for troops coming home from Iraq.
For a minute there, they weren't at war. They're home, they're in Bangor, Maine, and they're playing with therapy dogs.
Finally tonight, for many Christians in Iraq, the situation is one of uncertainty and fear. We showed you that here on last night's show. You know, churches have been targets for attack, priests have been kidnapped, and hundreds of people have been killed. But today, many U.S. families got probably what was at the top of their Christmas wish lists. Their loved ones are coming home. The war in Iraq officially ended today with a ceremony in Baghdad.
Almighty God, today marks a very important day in the history of Iraq and the United States. Since 2003, our nations sought a common good, rarely tried in the history of mankind, to bring the rule of law to a nation.
We look back at the sacrifices made by so many Americans and so many Iraqis, but we also look forward to an Iraq that is sovereign, secure, and self-reliant. An Iraq with whom the United States government will continue to work in every way possible.
You came to this land between the rivers, again and again and again. You did not know whether you'd return to your loved ones. You will leave with great pride, lasting pride, secure in knowing that your sacrifice has helped the Iraqi people begin a new chapter in history.
8 years, 8 months, and 26 days ago, as the Assistant Division Commander for Maneuver for the 3rd Infantry Division, I gave the order for the lead elements of the division to cross the border. As fate would have it, I now give the order to case the colors today.
Wow. And soldiers arriving in one New England town are being greeted in a very unique way. And this is a great story here. Reporter Diana Bosch has it for us.
You ready to go to work? When we put this harness on them, they know they're going to work. So they can't bark, they can't eat, they don't jump on people.
But what Opie and Skylar do is more rewarding than their owner, Cheryl Lair, ever imagined.
For a minute there, they weren't at war. They're home, they're in Bangor, Maine, and they're playing with therapy dogs. General Skylar and Colonel Opie.
For years now, soldiers traveling through Bangor are greeted by a line of people known as the Maine Troop Greeters. At the end of the line, sitting in Lair's harness, are a pair of Shih Tzu therapy dogs.
Hi. They're real. They are real. Yeah.
Cheryl bought Opie when he was just a puppy. Skylar was later rescued.
He had a broken jaw, 2 broken ribs.
Since joining the Troop Greeters a year and a half ago, they've wagged their tails for troops coming off of more than 500 flights.
Any pet relaxes, and the stuff that we've gone through, seeing an animal that relaxes us, it helps.
They bring smiles.
Decided to take a picture of them, and then, come to find out they're just like the one we got, Shih Tzus. So awesome.
While representing a little piece of home.
The dogs, they actually comfort me a little bit. I have my own pets at home, and my pets comfort me, and just seeing them comfort me a little bit more.
With more than 90 patches given to them by soldiers, they've become quite the decorated pets.
I got another one here for the other one.
Oh, okay.
With the mass troop withdrawal out of Iraq that's expected soon, it's unclear what will happen to the dogs or the troop greeters. But for the group, one thing is certain.
As much as we love doing this, our ultimate goal would be to close that door again and never open it.
Until then, Opie and Skylar will continue to provide a little bit of puppy love to our country's heroes.
Gotta love that. I'm a dog person, so I definitely love that story. Diana Bosch with that report. Well, that's it for this edition of Currents. Now, coming up tomorrow, Between Heaven and Mirth, a best-selling author takes a look at the lighter side of spiritual life. Until then, be sure and visit us online at currentsny.net. You can also connect with us on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.